All right, let's start the party. Hello and welcome. I feel like all the historical girlies are really happy right now, myself included. I am here with you all. Hi, I am Destiny. I feel like I see a lot of familiar faces. Hello and welcome. If there's anyone who's here for the first time, welcome to you too. I hope it won't be your last time. And I'm gonna go over a few logistical things, and then we'll get the real people out here that you want to see. Okay. So first off, we have tons of books upstairs. I worked with our team to make sure we had plenty of the mass market backstock, because I know sometimes that could be interesting to try to find. They are all signed, so you can definitely get those upstairs. Um, both authors will be signing after the event if you want your book personalized. If anyone is unaware, the restrooms are upstairs and past the registers, so you can make use of those. And if you could silence your cell phones right now, I'd be very appreciative so that we don't have any interruptions. While you do that, I will welcome our virtual audience. It's so good to have you. Hope you are already enjoying yourselves with very awkward view of my body. Um, All right, so I do like to shout out a few romance events that are coming up. So not next week, but the week after, we have Nikki Payne, woo, for The Princess and the PI, which, wow, y'all, yowza, what a book. So hope to see you there. Wednesday, October 1st, kind of more women's fic, but might be of interest to you. The Lost Story of Eva Fuentes, which is by Chanel Cleaton. She will be here in the store. On Thursday, October 2nd, we have A Mannequin for Christmas, Timothy Janofsky. And I think the last one I'll shout out right now is on Tuesday, October 28th. Julia Song is Undateable, Susan Lee with Lila Sage. They will both be here. Okay, so we got the cowboy girlies covered too. All right. Introducing our ladies of the hour, Diana Quincy is a former television journalist who decided she'd rather make up stories where a happy ending is always guaranteed. Diana is an Arab American who grew up all over the world as the daughter of a United States Foreign Service officer. Her historical romances have landed on annual best of lists, including Entertainment Weekly, The Washington Post, Library Journal, and others. Diana's newest title, The Earl That Got Away, a persuasion retelling. Oh my gosh. I- this is specifically for you. Will be published in September of this year, later this month. Oh, we're very excited for that. Okay. USA Today best-selling author Joanna Shupe has always loved history ever since she saw her first Schoolhouse Rock cartoon. I know, I love it. Her books have appeared on numerous yearly best of lists, including Publishers Weekly, The Washington Post, Kirkus Reviews, and others. She lives in New Jersey with her two spirited daughters and dashing husband. I have to say, I am so excited to have both of these authors here. This is Joanna's first event in store. She did a virtual panel, I want to say 2020, but in store. And many of you who know me know that I'm a Devil of Downtown apologist. So it is very exciting to welcome both Diana Quincy and Joanna Shupe.
Goodness, microphones and everything. I'm loud though. I don't really need. I feel like I almost don't need one. What? The virtual. Okay. All right. Virtual people. Oh, hello. Hello. I'm so thankful for all of you for coming out. I'm thankful for my pal Diana for doing this with me. We have known each other how many years?
2010, I think. Yes, or later than that.
So if you're good at math, that means
15
what?
years.
Okay. Okay.
Feels like longer though.
Doesn't it though?
Feels like forever in a good way.
Yes.
So I'm supposed to be the host, right?
So get it together.
Listen, I know all the things about Joanna, so
The good and the
I'm
bad.
going to ask her the questions. Which seat? No, that's The inside joke.
Okay, no, let's start off with that
Okay.
story, ma'am.
Which scene do you regret changing because I told you to?
Okay, so those of you who have been longtime Shupe readers, you might remember that I did a series, a Regency series that is called Wicked Deceptions, and the first book in the series is called The Courtesan Duchess. Okay. So, first of all, it is all these books later, that is my mom's favorite book of mine. Like still to this day, my mom is like, that's I'll never top it. So it's only downhill from there, from according to my mom. But anyway, that book is sort of my homage to the old school, you know, bodice rippers of the 90s. Joanna Lindsay, Jude, the Jays, Jude.
It's a great book if you haven't read it.
Well,
you should. It's one of my favorites
It's
too.
pretty bonkers, actually. So the book opens. Should I tell the original opening? So the book opens with him playing
I think they're
cards.
going to all vote against me, but go ahead.
The hero is playing cards in Italy, and he has a woman on his lap. And this is the first time the heroine, they are married, but they haven't seen each other in, whatever, 15 years. And so it's the first time she has seen him in 15 years. He has a woman on his lap. And I originally had his hand up the woman's skirt and he was pleasuring her. So Diana read that and said, that is disgusting. He is holding cards in his hands. That is disgusting. And
like, does he wipe his hands or anything?
She's like, is he going to clean his hands? I'm like, no. And then I'm thinking, well, can I put like a little dish of water on the table where he could like rinse his hands? Like, is that enough? And she's like, no, he would need soap. Because then he like shakes somebody's hand not long after
he's
that.
playing cards and shaking hands. But I am the gal who always takes the Lysol wipes and wipes down the hotel room. I wipe all the knobs and all.
TV remote. Does anybody else do that? She wipes the TV remote. She doesn't.
You put it in a bag so you don't touch it.
Oh my God. She does not wear, she always wears shoes in a hotel room because she can't look, people are on your side.
Of course.
On your side.
No shoes in the house.
I go barefoot and
she came last night and she was going to roll her suitcase. I'm like, I'll carry it because I did.
She didn't want my suitcase to roll on her carpet. So anyway, so now you know.
But the house is not that clean. If you imagine an immaculate house, that's not me. My germs are okay, and my friends' germs. But anyway, let's get back to Joanna's book.
Yeah.
So tell us about The Gilded Heiress.
So before I do that, so Diana is one of probably my only at this point, like critique partner beta reader. So she reads everything before I submit it, usually before I submit it to the editor. And her opinion is really the only one that I listen to.
Oh.
So, but she sends her books to lots of people and gets lots of opinions other than mine.
Not true.
So,
I just sent it to you, and lately Sophie Jordan. That's it.
I've been replaced.
You can never be replaced. And my latest book is dedicated to her, so just so she knows.
Yay! That was a nice surprise today. I have dedicated a book to you too.
Which one?
I don't remember.
Not that it matters.
Immediately, which one?
All right, let's get to your book.
Okay, fine.
No, go ahead. You're entertaining us. Okay. Tell, because we're here to talk about your book.
Yes,
so let's at least go there. Start there.
All right. So The Gilded Heiress. It is based on the movie Anastasia. That was my editor's idea. When we were thinking about a book that could maybe be a little higher concept because it was going to be in trade, because as we all know, mass market is dunzo. I know it's very sad and we can get into that. Yeah. So we were thinking we wanted sort of a bigger concept book, and she She is a big fan of Anastasia. I have to be honest, I'm a big fan of Dimitri. So I don't know that I'm really like an Anastasia fan, but I'm a Dimitri fan. And I was like, oh, this guy I know, this guy I can do. So when you read The Gilded Heiress, Leo is pretty much Dimitri without the singing. Um, and I knew they were both gonna be average people. We were not gonna have millionaires or billionaires or tycoons in this one. So I needed him. If he's conning people on the street, I needed her to be on the street as well. So I thought that a street singer would be a good idea to get her on the street, to have her have an amazing voice, but not quite know how to carry herself or have any stage presence. You know, she's just too much of a newbie. But anyway, she's on the street, she's singing, and that's where he sees her. So that was kind of how I got them on the street together. And he is a con man, which is kind of could be kind of a high bar for readers, but hopefully people like him. I mean, he is using her because he wants to if you know the movie Anastasia, he's a con man. He's going to pass her off as the lost princess. So Leo is going to pass Josie off as this lost heiress. And I sprinkled a little bit of the Lindbergh baby kidnapping in there, which not I hope everybody
Really
knows
good.
what I don't hope everybody knows what that is. Some people did not, so I'm happy to explain what that is. But a baby got kidnapped. I guess that's the short that's the short version. But I'm a bit
never found. Well, I think they found the
they
police
found
later.
yes, but they never solved who did it because the police bungled the case so badly. And anyway, I'm a big like Lindbergh baby kidnapping nerd. So that's I kind of mixed that in, so that becomes the lost heiress. Is there was a baby stolen and nobody knows what happened to her. So that's the story.
So why do you like to write morally ambiguous heroes?
I mean,
But the heroines are not morally ambiguous, but the heroes, your last all of your books are not all
I
of
mean,
them.
right.
Most of them.
Well, I love an asshole hero.
Yeah.
And I love a morally gray hero. Those are my two really very favorite things. So, right? Destiny knows. So I just don't have any interest in writing, you know, a do-gooder hero, you know, who, yeah.
But your heroines
Is that
are
really?
do-gooders.
Yes, sometimes, yes. But I don't know. I like,
Is Mr. Shupe morally ambiguous?
no. He is, he would be a do-gooder. Like my husband's the kind of person that like if he's walking down the street and there's trash, he will pick it up and throw it away. He sees somebody drop something, he's stopping them to give them that. I mean, he is
not.
I'm not. I'm sorry. If I'm behind you and you drop something, it's gone. No, I'm just kidding. But I can't think of another example, but he is very always believes in doing the right thing. So maybe that's why I like
your book boyfriend to be different.
Yeah, exactly. No, I just like a naughty hero.
So let's talk about your cover.
Okay.
It's different.
Yes.
Tell me about, I mean, I know, but tell everybody here about the journey it took to get to this cover. Like talk about what the original cover treatment kind of looked like and how you got here. I think they'd be interested to hear that.
Yeah, so we knew it was not going to be a clinch. I know. RIP the clinch. It just we wanted it to have more like almost look like a historical fiction.
Yeah.
That was sort of the goal, was for it to look like historical fiction. And we wanted we started with a woman with a dress, very pretty dress, and she was in front of like a gold orb. And it looked like she was walking into the orb. And it just came back that it just looked a little it almost looked a little fantasy, a little sci-fi. So people, it didn't really scream romance. And um, they had hired like an illustrator to sort of reimagine a what historical romance covers could look like if it wasn't a clinch, if it wasn't illustrated. We didn't want illustrated either because I don't think my books lend themselves to illustrated. Even when you look at like a Tessa Bailey, I think Tessa's voice lends itself to illustrated, even though like there's butt stuff in the book. I
You
mean,
have more of a sense of humor.
yes, right.
And chic, and you're more
I have no sense of humor.
dark and dirty.
Yeah, right, exactly. Like in this book, he's
Hot and
having
sexy.
a threesome in like chapter 2. So we didn't think illustrated was right. Um, so I suggested an object, and um, it sort of was. I was in my head thinking like the old Amanda Quicks, that had just kind of like this.
That vibe.
Yeah. So they hired an illustrator to work on it, and it was months and months and months, and this is sort of where we ended up. So yeah.
Talk about what's on the cover. Like what?
It's a crown on top of a top hat, with roses and some pearls like exploding, like 3D pearls coming at you. Um, yeah. So it's not perfect, but at some point you run out of time, and it's gotta go. Um, so I love it. It's grown on me. It's The goal was for it to stand out, maybe on like a, you know, historic,
bookshelf.
yeah, like a table or whatever somewhere. So hopefully it does. I don't know.
So you touched on this before, but this is your first trade. But it's still historical romance, right? I mean, would you say you're people who love your books that this is in the same vein, or is it a little different, or what?
So, it is a little different for me because I normally in my books I will take like a theme. Like with The Duke It's Even, it was reproductive rights. I've written about the Chinese Exclusion Act. I've written about I had a deaf hero. I mean, I very often will take a theme or a cause or something, and I'll try to do it, that's what the book sort of centers around. And I didn't really do that this time. I really wanted this to be like a light, fun, fast read. Um, and when I said that I thought I hadn't done that, I was doing the Fated Mates podcast with Sarah and Jen, and Sarah said, "What are you talking about? This is a class. Your commentary here is about class." And I was like, "Oh yeah, it was. Thanks. I'm so smart." So, yeah, I guess it is about class because there's nobody that's wealthy in here. They do their own laundry. They cook their own food.
They need a place to stay.
They need a place to live. And Josie, not being an upper class woman, her experience of walking on the streets would have been much different than an upper class woman. An upper class woman, you would have had footmen trailing you, or a groom or a lady's maid. You would have been squired around in a carriage. And Josie's on streetcars. She's on the elevated. She's walking on the sidewalks. And that experience would have been much different. And so that is the kind of thing, that's why women started wearing hat pins. And the hat pins got longer and longer and longer because they were using them as weapons against the men who kept grabbing them out in public. Then they outlawed hat pins. Or they tried to. So that was the kind of stuff that I had to think about with this book that I hadn't really thought about before. Because usually it's like, oh, the butler will do that. Oh, the lady's maid will do that. Oh, stuff just magically appears and is clean and is.
What was that experience like for you, writing working class people?
Yeah, I mean, it was, I had to do a lot of research for that. I mean, because the other stuff I sort of know, I already, I know what Newport is like. I know, the mansions. I know the fancy china and the, whatever, the champagne. But so this stuff, just writing like regular people, that was, you know, I had to do some research on that, but that was, and there's not a lot that exists, obviously, because it's, you know, less interesting, I guess, as far as a historical record and who's really writing that down. But so yeah, um,
So this is what we said. How talk about the decision to make this a trade book rather than the smaller mass market that we all know and love and can afford.
so that was not really my decision. I, you know, the Avon, the publisher, had said mass market is going away. Um, so it was sort of this or, you know, I don't know what. I mean, I don't know what else. I mean, it would have been this or nothing. So, um, I,
How do you as an author feel about that?
well, I'm sad to see mass market go away. I mean, those books are affordable. They've always been like an impulse purchase for many shoppers. I mean, you and I talk about how they were used to be in the grocery stores everywhere, and they would be right at the checkout line. And, you know, that's how you know, a lot of people found books. It's I I just don't know what happens to the industry when you take away the affordable option, because I will tell you, I've had emails within the last 2 or 3 days angry from readers saying, I love you, but your book's too expensive. And I will say, don't forget about libraries. I mean, please, like, request it from the library, like audiobook, ebook, paperback. You can get all of those through a library. And I think we have forgotten about libraries and the resource that they are for communities. And I don't, I mean, so I know people are upset about it. Um, and I've had people upset that the size is different, where they said, I have all your books in mass market and I have a little OCD, so I'm not buying, you know, I can't buy this one because it sticks out on the shelf. Okay. So, you know, I can't, there's nothing I can do about that either. So, but I do hope that that the publishers come up with an affordable option for book buyers. And I know a lot of this is driven by it's driven by sales. It's driven by what the market is telling them they want to stock. So it's not like people were clamoring for you know, the retailers and bookstores were clamoring for the mass market size, and the publishers said, "Oh, we don't feel like printing those anymore." I mean, it was much, you know,
Parts of the world dictated it
yeah, the big
because they wanted fewer
retailers,
books that they could make more money off of.
right?
Yeah.
So I hope that we will see that it comes back around where there is a format that is more affordable
I
for
hope so too.
readers.
I mean, yeah. So do you have a favorite scene in this book?
Does the threesome in chapter 2 count?
I like that one.
Um, yeah, I mean, I I did a lot of research into old Broadway and old vaudeville. So those are some of my favorite scenes. And I found an actual performer that was like the big celebrity of her day, which is Lotta, who I write in the book, um, which was short for Charlotte, I think. Anyway, and she never married. Her mother managed her career. She traveled all across the United States performing. They said she had a face, like a kind of a baby face, like a, you know, she was really beautiful. And she smoked cigars and just sounded like the world's most interesting woman. Um, so uh I wrote her into the book, and I love like every scene that she's in. So
So you write Gilded Age. You're the Gilded Age gal,
this is
but
it.
that's not how you started. So why don't you tell them like the way you,
Like, why?
yeah, I mean, you sort of plotted how you were going to get to Gilded Age. And I think they might find that interesting.
Well, I um don't like I don't like the Regency England.
You don't love it.
I don't love it. Um, I didn't read Jane Austen until I was in much later in my 30s. I read Edith Wharton, and I love Edith Wharton. I reread Age of Innocence maybe every year. I give me like Newland Archer, you know, at the window every time. Um, so um I just have this affinity for old New York, and my ancestors came through Ellis Island, and I've just always had. I lived in Chicago, I lived in New York, so I know like the Gilded Age sort of architecture and vibe, and I just have always loved it. So, but I knew, I mean, I can count on one hand the number of Gilded Age books that came before me, because I've read them all. So I knew that no publisher would give me a contract based on a Gilded Age series. So
As a new writer.
right,
Right.
right. So my goal was to sell a Regency series and then bounce out to the Gilded Age and hope that a publisher would give me a chance on Gilded Age, that Regency series would do well enough that then I could do Gilded Age, and that's what happened. And when I pitched the Gilded Age series, my editor at the time, I saw him tweet out when Twitter was a thing. He said, if I were to tell you a a book was set in the late 19th century America, would the words Gilded Age mean anything to you, or something like that? Like, he was asking people on Twitter, because he, like, nobody knew what Gilded Age meant. Um, so they published that Knickerbocker Club series, which is Magnate, Tycoon, Baron, and Mogul. And then they asked me to go back to Regency. So,
But then
but then
you were at a conference.
right, I was at a conference and met up with an editor from Avon who was like,
Came by her table looking for you, right?
yes.
And so it was like a fairy tale.
It was a little bit serendipity, and she really loved the Knickerbocker Club series and said, I mean, she um may have been, I think she had worked on a Vanderbilt book. Like, she had just done a nonfiction, and she was like, the Gilded Age nonfiction books sell so well. Like, we should be able to do this in romance. Like, would you be willing to let me take a shot at it? And so that's how we got the 400 series when I went over to Avon. So
And the party in the ballroom. On
horseback.
On horseback.
Yeah.
Love that speed.
Yeah, dinner on horseback, which really happened. That is a real historical event.
And didn't the hero have a moat around his house?
Yes, there was also a house that
And
had a
all
moat.
inspired by real stuff, right?
Yes, yeah. I mean,
So-
that's the thing with the Gilded Age, is you just can't make it up. Like, it's crazy enough on its own. And that's why I thought Anastasia would work in the Gilded Age, because, it's just anything is possible. And that's like sort of the theme of Anastasia, and that's literally the theme of the Gilded Age. So, yeah.
Okay, so before we open it up to questions, we're just gonna tell everybody what's next, because I'm so excited. I can't wait to read it. And I get it before you guys. So
Okay, so go with me. The next book in this series that I'm working on for Avon is Beauty and the Beast, but Belle is married to Gaston, and he is a terrible, terrible, terrible husband, because of course he would be. He's hot, but he's a terrible husband. And so the Beast develops a crush on Belle. So then the story is, how do they get her out of this really terrible marriage? So it's allowing me to look at the marriage laws of the late 19th century, which, if you don't know, in New York, you could only get divorced if one party was willing to claim adultery in court. So if nobody was willing to claim adultery, you were married for life. So just, I mean, as we are here in the year 2025, where they're talking about rolling back no fault divorce, which they are, in case you don't know, and North Carolina, and I know there's some other states that have North Carolina has a year separation waiting period before you can get divorced, which I didn't know, but somebody at an event was a divorce attorney and told me that. So, and I know there are other states that have waiting periods where you have to, be separated for so long before you can get divorced. So, I mean, it just, if you chose poorly for a husband, you were in really big trouble. Yeah, I mean, you could move to Reno, you could move to Newport, and you could set up residency there, but you had to be there for a certain amount of time and hope he doesn't come after you and drag you back because he had the right to do that. Your body was not your own, your money was not your own. So that's what this book is about, is really.
But it's really about Beauty and the Beast. That's just the background. Tell us why he's a beast. Tell us what makes him a beast. They've come for historical romance, Joanna.
There is a romance to it.
All of her books, if you've read them, they have that thread, but they're primarily about the romance.
I don't know. I'm like, I'm okay. I love the
She's got her new newsletter now, so she's up on it. I don't know if you guys have it. She writes about. Tell them about your newsletter real quick.
Okay, let's one thing at a time.
Okay, what makes the beast beastly? We want to know: is he scarred? Is he missing a leg?
He and Gaston have history, and Gaston caused the accident that disfigures the beast. So
now, don't you want to know about that more than women's rights?
Yeah, right. Of course. Yeah, sure.
Just helping you sell the book.
I mean, that's why I am the history nerd and you are you.
Now, wait a minute. I write about injustice in my books, but it's a background. But what was the other part of it? Tell them about your newsletter, what you write in your newsletter.
Okay, so I, for those of you who don't know, I started writing a newsletter shortly after inauguration day. No, I guess election day, because I started in last November. That compares everything we're seeing in 2025 to the Gilded Age, because there are too many comparisons to even.
History is repeating itself.
Yeah,
she points that out. It's
I
mean,
the rollback of reproductive rights, the immigration stuff, the the tariffs, the wealth inequality, the anti-union. I mean, so I've written a lot of these little comparisons, and each week I take a deep dive and I look at, and I got a lot of angry emails sort of right off the bat. I got a lot of angry responses from people that did not agree with my views, which was really quite shocking.
Because they're all over your books.
Right, because I'm so secretive about, yeah. So where was I going with that? So I do that every week. Usually there's been a little bit of book nonsense happening recently, but so people seem to really love it, which is great. For me, it's like writing a book report every week, which is not so great, but I think I'm doing it to basically process everything that's happening, like for myself. Like I have to process it for myself, and that's been a way for me to do it. A lot of people have said, oh, I'm so glad you're doing it because it makes me feel like we're all going to be okay. And my only response to that is, once you come out of the Gilded Age, you are deep in Jim Crow and not everybody's okay. You really see the rollback of women's rights, and we get heavily into eugenics, which rolls into, the Third Reich, which rolls into the Holocaust. So not everybody's okay. And
is that what you expected to hear when you came tonight? Of course, it's important. Just try to lighten the mood. All right.
Listen.
Open it up to questions now. Should we hurry up and open it up to questions right now?
Should I go back to the threesome that was in chapter 2? Is that okay?
I like
Which people were
Gaston
all-
being responsible for the beast's accident.
Oh,
I'm all
is this
for
my
that book.
water or your water?
My water.
Oh, okay. I thought I did. All right. No big deal. I thought I had it.
That is mine.
Okay. Do
I
we?
would let you drink from it, but yeah, never mind. Germs and all.
Right.
All right. So anybody who has questions, go ahead.
Oh,
wildly popular, particularly this past summer.
yes.
Like, if you have thoughts on it, if you've seen an increase in interest in your work, and
I will.
and how you sell your books to Gilded.
Okay, so the question is, the Gilded Age TV show is super popular, and has Joanna been paying attention to it? And what was the end of the question? Have you seen an increased interest? Have you seen an increased interest of it in your books from your fans?
Okay, so the interest in the books, no. The TV stuff never translates. In my experience, Bridgerton did not, the Gilded Age really did not. It has just for whatever reason, historical on TV popularity doesn't translate into books and historical romance. I don't know why. I love the Gilded Age. My Facebook group, we watch it live usually when we have like a live watch every Sunday night when it's on. I'm really tired of Larry and Marion. So, I mean, thumbs down. Like that's a big miss for me now. Like I I liked them together, but then they jumped the shark and she's boring and I don't know. So,
I love that the sexiest couple is the long married couple, Bertha and Railroad Daddy.
there's like
Yeah.
big time drama with
Right.
those.
That's the most interesting love story, really. The most interesting
And if
relationship.
you're a fan of the Gilded Age, I have a sticker for you tonight. I have a really fun sticker that we did that has to do with Railroad Daddy. So, I mean, I love him. I love Bertha. I love Peggy. I mean, it's just it really hit its stride in season 3. Season 1, I was a little worried. I was like, this might be kind of boring. I really wanted more kissing, but then season 3, it really got good. So, yeah.
And I like that the characters, the characters of color, actually got a real storyline that was interesting, and we wanted to we want, and it was based in fact. So I love that about season.
Yeah,
3.
because a lot of people don't know that there was an affluent middle class Black society in Brooklyn.
In Newport, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Ralph Lauren knows. Do you know he did a whole? You know he did a whole. Yeah, he did a whole. He did a whole. He did a whole thing of clothing. And what's that? Oh, agreed.
oh yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
So I love that they gave that
Dr.
a
Kirkman.
real
I mean,
color.
super
I mean, a
handsome.
real storyline.
And like, shout out to all the Broadway people that are on that show. I mean, can you imagine like the singing they do backstage and stuff? I mean, anyway, I love it. It really got good this season. I can't wait
agree.
for next season.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Thank you.
The question is, how does she go between her historicals and her fabulous mafia? So if you don't know, she writes as Mila Finelli, and those books are so hot. It's crazy.
Yes, so it's not as hard as one might imagine. I mean, before I went to work full time, I would do like I would write one in the morning and one in the afternoon. So I sort of had like this split day, but then a stupid day job happened. And so I'm a little more scattered now, but quite often I'm working on both pen names at the same time. I am literally like, um, which is actually what's happening right now. So I don't know. I will say that I feel like the Finelli stuff bled into some of the Shupe books unintentionally, especially Bride Goes Rogue. I really thought that book was going to come back from my editor and she was going to say, you have turned some kind of a corner here. What is happening in your life? Because I really thought it was going to be too dirty. And I did. That should be the tagline for The Bride Goes Rogue. I thought it was going to be too dirty. But she didn't. And so I also feel like the finale stuff kind of saved my sanity a little bit. Like I needed that. Like I just needed just something different that just was purely for me and purely fun and like absolutely bonkers insane. And it has
She writes them so fast.
I did because they just like
Pour out of you.
yeah, I mean for whatever reason the historicals take a little longer. Maybe I'm thinking about them a little bit more, but the mafia books just really pop out pretty easily. So they have saved my sanity, really.
So, I mean, this is not about me, but it's a fun anecdote. So, I was reading, I think, Mafia Mistress while I was writing The Duke Gets Desperate, and that became my most filthy book. So, I think it did. I think it did bleed through. So, any other questions? Go ahead.
I feel like most of your books are the excellent, desperate grand gesture. How do you go about like crafting a grand gesture? And like, do you ever feel like you come up with something and then you're like, they're not groveling enough, and then you like up the ante?
I feel like the one that I thought about the most was The Bride Goes Rogue because Preston has literally been so terrible to her the entire book. Um,
Tell them what the grand gesture was for those who don't remember.
I don't remember. I don't I don't remember. But thanks for putting me on the spot. I don't remember. What does he do? Anybody? Has anybody
Doesn't he buy her a building for her art collection or something like that?
Oh.
Then she sees that building and is like, well, this isn't the building I wanted, so like we're still not going to be in a relationship.
Oh yeah, he buys her like way uptown. Like because they did one of the big art museums did open that far uptown, so I like had Preston like being, had the foresight to like build that big thing uptown and um
Well, talk about in general then how you approach the grand gesture. I think that's sort of what she
yeah, I
wants.
mean um isn't it Sarah that McLean that always says he has to crawl through broken glass for her to be able to, um I think the Duke Gets Even was a little bit different. Like Nellie almost had to do a grand gesture a little bit for Lockwood because she had been the one that, had really been pushing him away. So that was the only one that I kind of flipped a little bit because I thought really, it's her turn to like grovel a little bit. But I try really hard for that to be satisfying for the reader because usually like if I'm writing a morally gray or, kind of terrible hero, he really has to come around at the end. Like that otherwise it's not satisfying for the reader. So I do always think like what can he give up to win her? That's sort of like how I approach it. Or what can he, not physically give up, but even something, just what can he sacrifice to win her? So that's sort of what I'm thinking.
Okay,
Great.
great.
So I just want to say in the chat, people love the newsletter.
Oh,
People are
Yay.
ready to get serious because you bring so much fun in the books and like talk about the issues. But the question that I'm going to ask is, which Diana Quincy books would you recommend to Leo and Josie?
To Leo and Josie.
um,
I don't have to repeat that. Do I have to repeat that?
Mm.
So, which Diana Quincy books would you recommend to the characters in this book? Also, they love her newsletter and they're okay for her getting serious, even though I took their test.
that is a really meta question. That is really deep question. I mean, my personal favorite is One Night with the Duke. So that would be the one that I would recommend. Because
Her night with
her night
But it
Well,
was
it
One Night with the Duke
should have
for a
been-
long time.
should have been
There
called.
was already one called One Night with the Duke, so we had
Her
to make
Night
it
with the
Her
Duke.
Night with the Duke.
If you haven't read it, that's great. That's a couple has an anonymous one night stand in a tavern, and it turns out that he is engaged to her stepdaughter.
Almost engaged. He's not completely a cad.
Listen,
He's courting her with
but
the
about
intention.
about to be engaged. Yeah. I love that book. So that would be the one that I would recommend to anybody. Yes.
Oh, I'm like, wow.
Downstairs. Bald downstairs. Right. I know. I know.
To be historically accurate.
Back in the back. Diana.
I don't know. I have a book coming out September 30th. That's my last contracted historical. I've written a thriller that's coming out in the spring. And, if somebody wants me to write a historical romance, I will. But right now, somebody will pay me. um, since Joanna and I got into it, people were always saying, "Oh, historicals are over." From the beginning, my agent would say, "Oh, you should write contemporary if you want to make money." And it's not all about the money, but we have to get paid a little for what we do. So my publisher did not want another historical. As a matter of fact, they didn't even bring it up. They didn't even say we don't want any more from you. And because my editor left. So at least I was really happy to know that. So I was really careful about the cover, very intentional about how I wrote it, and really just like felt the process so that I could sort of process that was maybe the last one I've written. So yeah.
The short,
but don't let that stop you from buying my last one.
collector's item.
There you go.
The short answer is I don't really know. I mean,
so many of us are moving away from it because publishers don't want it.
Right. So I don't know if it will be more of an ebook thing where people
I didn't repeat the question, did I? Oh, okay. Go ahead.
falling down on the job. Yeah, I don't I really just they say publishing is cyclical, that it will come back around. I have to tell you that I mean, I have had people say to me, I don't read historical because I just don't want to learn. So I think, also I read a statistic that it was a study, I think by UNC Chapel Hill. I could be wrong. It was a university study that just came out that said 44% fewer Americans are reading for pleasure in the last, I think it was like 20 years or some ridiculously short amount of time. It was like no people are not reading anymore. I know we all read, but just in general, reading is down. Again, I think people have forgotten about libraries. I mean, some people have forgotten about libraries based on what some of the emails that I've gotten. Go ahead.
Well, Joanna and I have, for a long time, have talked about how we think the covers didn't keep up with the times, that the covers should have come along a little. And that doesn't mean no clinches ever, but they stayed the same as they've been the last, 30, 40 years. And
Right.
And so maybe readers got the idea and maybe they're embarrassed to read clinch covers. I don't know.
Well, I think, during the pandemic, we saw the book talk explosion, and, it was really about holding up, these beautiful covers. I mean, I didn't see any historicals or any clinches or, so I think just the reader tastes have gone away from that style of cover. And yeah, I think publishing is very reactive, not proactive. So I think somebody's waiting for somebody else to solve the problem
Figure it out.
of what to do with historical romance. And I don't know what that's going to be.
I'm curious. I mean, is it off-putting to you the cost of books if there are no mass market books that are under $10? I mean, how does that impact you guys as readers and people who buy books? Go ahead.
So I pieced together a spreadsheet of all the mass market paperbacks books I had from like the 1960s to today. And adjusted for inflation how much those books would cost in today's market.
What do you do for a living?
I do read books. So this is vaguely for work in the future, but so I adjusting for inflation, mass market paperbacks have consistently been $10. Like on average, forever, even when they were 50 cents, like it is now
Oh,
$10.
interesting.
And even before that, you had like penny dreadfuls and things that could give you a today's cost of around like $5 to $10 for like a cheap, quick pick up on the go thing. With trade paperback now, the cheapest available book is like $14. And the only like low cost replacement is KU. KU's at $12. So that's $2 more than your average kind of mass market. And a mass market is something you can keep and share and resell. So on the whole, and you don't, well, yeah, that as well. But you're like swapping out a like low cost, easy purchase for readers. And the only thing you're getting in exchange is like a forever service to like a company.
Right. And I don't think people realize that a lot of people don't realize that they don't own the books that you get from those online retailers. I mean, I don't. Oh, one more question. Then we have to wrap. Then we have. Yes, hang on.
Activity. Obviously, like I'm a huge I'm always maxed out on my holds. I'm like making my husband put holds on and like, but I think you wait for stuff your Kindle day and you like
Yeah.
I subscribe to the newsletter so you let us know when something's on sale for $1.99 and I feel like that's sort of how I get it done.
Yeah, like everybody's waiting for sales. Yeah, which yeah, that makes sense. Right. Yeah.
ebooks anymore because they're ridiculously expensive.
Yes.
Within 3 to 6 months, they're on sale.
Yeah.
So there's also a weird market in ebooks where they're to an extent are like books are worth.
Yes. Yeah.
They're readers they are artificially inflated prices.
Right.
When so many are available. Like there's to an extent the ebook is the new mass market.
Yeah. But you can't, right. And I recently read I had gotten an advanced copy of or a copy of Cat Sebastian's You Should Be So Lucky, which is delightful. And it's for those of you who don't know, it's queer historical baseball. I mean, that's all I need to say, and you should read it. But I had a paperback of it, and I was on a plane, and I had forgotten how much I loved reading a paperback. And anyway, I that's just my little anecdote, but I don't know what the answer is to any of this, but we're grateful that you all are still supporting historical romance. Right?
Yes, 100%. I'm just trying to make sure I'm keeping this on time.
One more. One more?
One more question?
Yay. That is a perfect question. The question was after the threesome in chapter 2, do they wash their hands? Perfect ending. Perfect question. Thank you. The answer is no.
Well, thank you.
Yay. Thank you. Oh, wait, this is my copy of the book, which I have taken with me to all my book tour stops. And I've asked people to just sign their names in my book. And it's my own personal copy that I'm just keeping as like a silly little memento of all my people that I've met. So if you all would sign it, that would be amazing. You don't have to sign your own name. You can sign whosever name you want. This is not for bank credit card fraud. This is like, don't worry, like you could any page, whatever you want to write, and thank you.
You guys are a hoot. I really, you get, it's the best when authors are friends because you get all the inside scoop. We love it. Okay, so I'm going to have you guys make your escape this way. We are going to ask you in a moment. You should be familiar with this process to fold your chairs. Not quite yet. And we are going to be doing the signing line over here. We will be starting lining up.